We're now learning that the European Union has condemned Israel's latest airstrikes in southern Lebanon, urging both sides to respect the ceasefire agreed upon a year ago. The EU's Foreign Affairs spokesperson Anwar El-Anouni has stated that Israel must stop actions violating UN Resolution 1701 and the 2024 truce. He's warned that continued strikes threaten to unravel months of progress. Israel, meanwhile, claims that its recent operations targeted Hezbollah's military infrastructure, accusing the Iran-backed proxy group of rearming. Meanwhile, the Lebanese army, on the other hand, has accused Israel of trying to destabilize the country and obstruct its troop deployments under the ceasefire terms. Brussels, in the meantime, has also appealed to Hezbollah and other Lebanese actors to avoid any steps that could escalate the conflict even further, calling on all sides to prioritize maintaining calm along the volatile border. Still with us on the broadcast is Dr. Gilles Emmanuel Jacquet. Interesting development. We've been tracking this for quite a while now. We've seen strikes taking place in southern Lebanon. The IDF claims that it is striking some Hezbollah infrastructure. They don't want the Hezbollah to rearm and regroup over there. Lebanon claims that it is being done intentionally in order to destabilize it even further and not allow the Lebanese army to really come back in southern Lebanon, as was decided in the November 2024 truce. I wanted to understand from you, what is your take on this? And secondly, we've also seen efforts by the Americans, the US administration in particular, to sort of bring about the disarmament of Hezbollah, and no headway is being made with regards to that. How do you view all these developments?
Southern Lebanon is a stronghold of the Hezbollah for years. It's where in 2000, after years of guerrilla campaigns, the Hezbollah was able to kick Israeli defense forces out of the region to push them to withdraw to Israel. So it's a region where the Hezbollah is well embedded in the population, where you had already as well in the past warfare in 2006, already with the IDF, so you have a lot of defense line or bunkers. Hezbollah has been seriously affected as well by the recent Israeli attacks, the murder campaigns like against Hassan Nasrallah as well. And the strength of the Hezbollah is not really comparable to the strength it used to have in the past, especially before this campaign of Israeli strikes or targeted assassinations. It's very convenient for Israel. It's an easy, let's say, excuse for Israel to always accuse either Hamas, either Hezbollah to rearm. They are political military groups, so for sure they rearm. And as long as these groups consider as well that the ceasefire or previous agreements made with Israel are repeatedly violated, there is no trust. So there is no surprise, no wonder why they're looking for rearming. Now, the other thing as well is true that these strikes and as well the presence of the Hezbollah in southern Lebanon may prevent the Lebanese army to be deployed in the area. The Hezbollah, in fact, is not much a big obstacle to the Lebanese army, as long as the Lebanese army has, let's say, a consistent mandate with regard to the region that would not clash with the historical Hezbollah influence or presence there, because it enjoys as well a strong support in the population. We have a lot of Shia Muslims living in this area. The other thing as well, as long as the Lebanese army is unable as well to deploy in this area, we still have a potential risk of conflict again between the Hezbollah and Israel. But at the same time, the Lebanese army may not have the means to protect Lebanon itself against the IDF. That's why in the past, the Hezbollah or other groups as well played this role, assumed this function. There will be continued pressure from the US, from Israel for sure, but from the US on the Lebanese government to disarm Hezbollah. It's a long-standing claim as well we have for more than a decade from Western governments and especially from the US to push Hezbollah to disarm and then to provide more loans to the Lebanese government and financial and military assistance to the Lebanese army. But it may not work once again because the Lebanese army is somehow divided. There may be some structural weaknesses with regard to the government or the political institutions we have in Lebanon. So that's why we have a kind of security vacuum in the south that is filled as well by Hezbollah for years. So it's quite somehow an inextricable situation.
A quick follow-up to that, we've recently seen comments by the U.S. Special Envoy to Syria, Tom Barak. He's branded Lebanon a failed state. This, of course, comes as Washington is becoming increasingly frustrated over the lack of any sort of development being made as far as the disarmament is concerned. Would you concur with him?
Well, I'm not concurring. We're talking about a failed state in the region. It's Syria, not Lebanon. And Lebanon became somehow a dysfunctional or somehow failed state, but not to the same extent as Syria. And in the case of Lebanon, it's something that didn't happen overnight. We had several events. We had a long-standing economic crisis leading to this kind of financial collapse a few years ago. We had then the very curious incident in the port of Beirut occurring a few weeks after Mr. Netanyahu had threatened to bring back Lebanon to the Stone Age. I'm quoting him.
Yes.
So we have this game of pressure over Lebanon, which is a fragmented and divided country, and this pressure from the West didn't help Lebanon in the last 15 to 20 years. It's not the case. We have, in fact, behind this Western pressure, the attempt to break the political representation of the Shia minority, not much the Amal group, but more the Hezbollah, to try to reduce in this way as well Iranian influence in the country. But the problem is that Lebanon is not as such a fully sovereign state, and you don't just have this issue of the Iranian influence. We have Qatari influence, we have Emirati influence, we have Saudi influence for years, especially through the parties usually supporting the prime minister, the previous prime ministers, like the Hariris, who had ties to Gulf countries. So I think it's a very partial view from the US, and they should as well not just try to help genuinely Lebanon, but to look at what they have done as well with regard to Syria, which is another failed state in the region with very, let's say, considerable implications for its neighbors.
Absolutely. So with that, I'd like to thank you for taking out time and speaking to us. So we also have Major General A.K. Sivach, who's a geostrategic